If I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm Jay Clay, rapper and spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect. Perfect mode. Everything, anything, anything, perfect. Everything, anything, perfect mode. Everything, anything, perfect mode. Everything, anything, perfect mode. Perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode.
What up? What up? Welcome to Perfect Mode. And first off, let me start by telling you that we love y'all. We're grateful for the opportunity to be anywhere, sharing our thoughts, and hopefully helping you realize that you are perfect. And the reason why I can say that unapologetically is because I know that you are one of one, numero uno. You cannot be replicated, duplicated. And the only reason you would think otherwise is if you're looking at this person on the side of you and saying, I'm not them. But guess what? You are you, and that's all you need. And of course, it's yours truly, Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. And I have my boy Jay Clay, spiritual rapper and teacher. And we're about to jump on today and talk about why you keep attracting the wrong people and how to change it. What up, Jay?
Ooh, what up? Happy Sunday to all my perfect people in the perfect place at the perfect time, here, perfectly rooted in the present. Happy Sunday, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there and grandmothers and great grandmothers and just mothers to be, all y'all. Just happy Mother's Day.
And I happy Mother's Day to my mama, my wife, and my mother-in-law. Happy Mother's Day, y'all.
Yeah, and man, this is one of them topics because we learn about ourselves through relationships, any kind of relationship, friendships, just casual comes and goings. Like we learned about it, and sometimes you wonder, like, man, look, the people that surrounded me, how am I attracting this? I try to do this, I try to do that. How is this happening to me? We want to talk about it. We want to unpack it. So while we're talking about it, I want everyone to just kind of, in the back of their mind, identify one pattern that you're ready to break. But yeah, okay. Yeah.
Now, funniest thing about this whole topic, when I first saw it, the first thing that I thought about was relationships. And I mean, I'm including myself in this as well. But somebody that would be in a relationship, it don't work out. They get in another relationship, it don't work out. Another relationship, and it don't work out. And they would say, I'm looking, or I keep finding the wrong person, or I keep getting into it with people. And then there's always this one friend that comes along and says, well, are you sure you're not the problem? Every time something happens, it can't always be something else. And so again, I know it's here and it's not there, but that's the first thing that comes up to my mind because when I think about why you keep attracting the wrong people, the first thing that I do is I look at myself and see what I'm presenting. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, so like the first thing that came to mind, like for me, like even the way it's worded, the topic is worded, it's kind of a loaded statement because you're never attracting the wrong people. And to your point, like you said, that's why you look at yourself first. Like everyone that's there is there for a reason. Now the reasons might be different. It's a wide range of reasons why this person is in your vibration, so to speak. It could be to show you something that you're alike. It could show you something different or something to get you to shift toward more what you want. It's a lot of reasons, but as you said, like you are the first person to look to, and you're not attracting the wrong people. But it doesn't mean a necessarily bad thing either. If you perceive someone bad in your life.
Now the funny thing about Jay, and I 100% wholeheartedly agree with you. You're not attracting the wrong people. You're attracting who you want. That's the first thing, right? And a part of this is once you attract something that you want, if you don't want it anymore, what we tend to do is hold that place in our life or in our heart to be whoever it is that we perceive that we're attracted. So I'm trying to, okay, so let me say it like this. There are friends that decided to be my friends at some point because I was rah, let's go, let's make this thing, right? And then at some point in my life, there wasn't any light switch or anything that flipped her, and it was like an indication for me to stop being rah. It was just one day, it was just like, you know what? I don't want to be rah no more. But what we end up doing is whenever we get around those same people, because we feel like that's the landscape that we've made for those people, we'll go back and revert to that person that we don't want to be. And so you can ask yourself, you know, if I was really just being myself, would these people stick around? Would they change their rah? Like, what is the dynamic of me being me? And I think that's a part of people being the wrong people being in your world, is because you're continuously feeding into something that you don't really want. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and that's one of the hardest parts about realizing you're around people that you might not want to be around. Is what does that say about you? Like, what does that say about me? What in my life may have caused this? And like you said, you were able to point out certain things. And again, this doesn't mean that the people around you are wrong in any way. It just means at some point in your life, you resonated with that. You made a call to that, whether it's through your attention, through the things you liked or the things that you feared, because fear is a sense of, it's kind of a call to action as well, because you're creating the scenario in your mind that you attracted. And so it's almost like, okay, what in my vibration, what in my daily thoughts could have attracted such a thing? And once you identify it, if you do identify it, you can easily change it. And like you said, Troy, it will make people either move closer to you or further away from you, or that they have to change themselves to now be in your space. And I've seen it happen all the ways across the board. And it's magnificent to witness that we actually have that power, but it all starts with us.
And the ultimate test is to really get into something. And just kind of give you an example, you know, 5 years ago, bro, I got a Peloton treadmill, which you know, but I'm speaking it out so that everybody can. So 5 years ago, I had a Peloton treadmill. And before I got the Peloton treadmill, I didn't have anybody to work out with the exception of you, Jay Clay. And mind you guys, we're in two different cities. He's in Houston and I'm in Dallas, Fort Worth. But he's the person that I would talk to about whatever I was doing. Well, funny enough, when I got the Peloton treadmill, well, I guess let me stop before I got the Peloton treadmill. I have Jay Clay to work out with, and then everybody around me is not working out, right? So I could assume that I'm attracting the wrong kind of people because I haven't put myself in a situation to receive something new, right? Because again, nobody wants to work out around me. Nobody trying to go hit the gym. Nobody trying to do no push-ups. I'm like, let's do 50 push-ups a day. Nobody wants to do that. And so again, mindset is, dang, you just got the wrong type of people around you, but that's not true. So as soon as I got the Peloton treadmill, I got into it. So I'm on the treadmill, and then all of a sudden I joined some groups on Facebook, and then I joined some groups on this place. And so I started talking about it everywhere I went. And then before I knew it, everything that I was looking at was a bunch of people that was working out all the time. Everywhere I went, everybody I talked to, even so much so it was funny. My son was at, we playing in a basketball game. He got hurt and we had to go to the emergency room. We're in the emergency room and the doctor is talking to me. We just happen to have on same shoes or something, right? And she was just like, oh yeah, I run marathons. And I was like, oh, for real? I'm in this running group. Oh, dang, you run on Peloton. And it was amazing to see that we were actually connected. Didn't even connected, but it just goes to show the dynamic of what I was looking at changed my entire life and who I thought was around me. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. It's because the people you attract reflect the patterns that you carry. Like, I don't remember the exact quote, but I remember reading that the bad you perceive in the world is the bad that you harbor inside yourself. And it's like, what? That's crazy. Like that person is clearly this or clearly that, but I understand it now. It's you. How do I say this? In order for you to even notice it, you have to know about it. And by you knowing about it and paying attention to it, it's like you're creating this world where it can grow and fester. It's like we always talk about like the whole red car experiment. Once you start looking for red cars, you can see them, you can spot them everywhere. But if you're not, like if you told me to tell you the last time I saw a red car, I might be able to tell you, but I don't know just because I
Right,
wasn't looking for it. And that's the same thing. Like once you're aware of something, even illnesses, once you're aware of an illness, you can start to see it everywhere. You could probably see it in people, which is why, like in society, as medical advances occur, there's still more illnesses, more hospitals, more of this, more of that, because that's people's focus. And that's their creative point of attraction. And so when you change that, it changes the relationships, it changes the kind of conversations you have with people. I even say this. I remember when I started it, making the music, just to be on the higher level and positive. Before I started, I searched. I couldn't really find anybody. I was like, I guess I got to do this. Nobody's out there. But the more I did it, the more I'm like, oh snap, the world is changing. This person over here doing it, they doing it. This is nice. And it's so many. Put it like this: no matter what you want to live, there's a community for it because you co-create it, but it's there. Go ahead.
Right. So I got to shout out to my wife, and I'm using her as the example, just simply because this is something that I've been messing with her about over the past month. Right. So yesterday when we went to a basketball game. You know, I'm always going to a basketball game. TJ had tournaments yesterday. And so I'm just going to tell you what I imagine was happening, and then I'm going to tell you what happened. So I assume that we're driving in the car, and my wife is just thinking to herself, like, oh, yeah, I got to tell my sister this, and this, right? Or I wonder what my sister was doing this, right? That this is all in silent in her own head. And then all of a sudden, she just says to me out of nowhere, what floor was KK on? So in my mind, I'm like, I literally turned to her, I said, what are you talking about? And she was like, KK, what floor was she on? And I was like, I have no clue. KK who? And she's like, my sister. Now, again, mind you, at this time, my son Brody is staying with his best friend, Carmelo, whose mom's name is KK too. So in my mind, I absolutely I do not have a clue of what she's talking about. The reason why I bring this up is because now, fortunately for me and my wife, this is something that I'm used to. I figured it out. But she could leave and say, I don't like people who can't communicate with me. I keep running into men who are not communicative, right? They don't communicate well, but not looking at the point or the fact that when she's communicating to me, it's incomplete as well. And again, I use her as an example, but the reality of it is, a lot of times the things that we're pointing out about people are, and I call it a deficiency, but they are areas of opportunity for ourselves. If I'm looking for communication, the thing that I want to do is communicate more. If I'm looking for love, I want to love more. I always say, if you want me to kiss you every day, you don't need to look for me to kiss you every day. You kiss me every day, and it's going to happen. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, man, it's really simple. Like you pointed out, everything we want, if we're willing to give that more, if we're willing to add to that, like you said about communication, like somebody saying, yeah, I can't seem to attract people that can communicate well. Well, that's an attraction point as well. You're gonna continue to reinforce that. Like, I mean, I remember I used to have a thought like, man, they don't understand, man. They can't understand. But then I realized what I was doing and what I was saying. Like, people really don't understand. And once I flipped that message, people started to understand, like just whatever it was I was saying at the time. And you may not realize it, but every thought you give, every word you say, there's an intention behind it or a belief behind it that affects how it goes out or how it can be received. Now, you can't control how another person receives it, but you can control the intent behind it. Like if you're already doubting what you're saying or already doubting the intention of what it's creating, it comes out that way. And that's the only way it could be received, unless the person you're talking to is already holding one of the highest vibrations ever, which is a thing in itself too. But if you want that, you have to hold the highest vibration of them as well. But yeah, go ahead.
And again, the beauty of it is that vibration, bro. Like, again, if I'm at home right now and there's a party and I know people are going to have guns at the party, like I know they're going to have guns at the party, nothing in my body tells me to go to that party. Nothing. Like, there's absolutely nothing in me that says go to that party. I have a good friend, and I call him my good friend to this day, even though I'm never around him. He lies about everything. Literally. Like, he lies about everything. And funny enough, if I'm around him, I'm going to lie too. I might not tell a lie like him, but the lie that I would tell is acting like I don't know that he's lying. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It still has its effect on me because I'm feeding, I'm giving it out, right? And so, you know, it's just kind of one of those things that, like, if you can, like, if I get around him and I just tell him the truth all day, he doesn't have any room to lie. Or I'm no longer around him because I don't put myself in that situation. Not because I don't want to be around him, but because I'm being where I'm supposed to be. But go ahead, Jay.
Man, that's funny because I never thought about it like that with somebody who lies. Because I know some people like that, and it amuses me. It's funny, and it's almost like I don't even know if they're doing it for entertainment or they don't know that they're doing it. But by me, like, what? Like I'm lying. I am lying too by acting shocked by it. But at the same time, there's a part of me like, man, if I want that for you, like if that's what you want, I'll help you manifest that. But like you said, if they know that they're lying, everybody involved in that is lying, predicated by the intent of the speaker. And so it's funny too, because we don't even always realize the hidden beliefs behind certain things that we say. And not only that, we don't always realize if we're saying something that we don't want. We're just parroting it because we heard somebody else say it, and we're just trying to bond with this person. So we say, well, let me just say this because this is the idea I have on this subject, even though I don't want this for myself. But by me saying it and sharing it, we're now creating this both for me. And it's like, yeah, you got to check all that.
So, nah, right. That cracked me up, though. You just hitting the back made me laugh. But I think about, I have to pull myself to the carpet. And again, I just to kind of touch on the topic, is why you keep attracting the wrong people. No person is wrong, right? Like, it's no wrong people. It's just people that are on the same frequency as you and people who are not. People who you understand or people who you don't. And, there have been plenty times in my life, bro, where I found myself being in situations with people who were not on the same frequency as me or that I agree with. And what I realized, just as an example, when we were pushing music, I used to have to go to the club every single day. And I went by myself with either a DJ or I would just go by myself. And the people that I was around was vibrating heavily differently than I was, right? It was always something going on. But something in me told me that I had to be around these people or these situations or circumstances in order for me to accomplish my goal. So that's number one, the wrong thing, right? Everything you have, everything you need, you already have. And there's always another way. There's always a frequency or wave that you can ride. But what I found myself doing was I was at the club with a beer in my hand, kick back, yelling crunk. And it's no surprise that the people who are around me or want to walk in the club with me or the girls that were situated in certain cities, like it's no mystery why my environment was like this, though the core of me was not that. The core of me was not somebody that wanted to drink. The core of me was not somebody that wanted to be loud. The core of me was not somebody that wanted to be around all of these different people because I love being at home by myself. But the reality of it was I capitulated to a frequency because I felt like it was what was necessary in order for me to move forward. And I think that's where we find ourselves living a lot of times. Well, go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. So what's funny too is like, let me read what Aurelia said. That's so true, and it's funny when they are lying in your face, knowing that you know that's true. Yeah. Like what? But yeah, so the interesting thing too about like what you said about being around the wrong people, not the wrong people, but like people that you might not vibrate with, and then wondering like, man, why am I attracting this? One reason is, in a sense, for you to be the example for them, to show them another way. So like an example would be, I make music. I try to touch on different subjects. And it's one of those, like, once I feel like I've explained the subject well, I want to move on to the next. I don't want to keep doing the same thing. And so I remember a time when I would be on social media and I would hear people saying stuff and I would be like, man, that's dangerous for them to say that because people are going to follow that and all of that. But like now it's like, oh, people really don't understand. I can make a song about this. I can make some content about this to help people learn this because I enjoy teaching. I enjoy making new music and connecting new forms of thought. So it's also like there's an opportunity in that, in me being around people that might not necessarily vibrate on the same level, but in a way they are, because they're meeting you where like you would be the teacher and they would be the learner, so to speak, just as you sometimes meet people in that frequency, like you're the learner and they are the teacher. So it's there's always a reason why you are attracting certain people. And like Troy said, they're never the wrong people.
Bro, the ultimate mirror back to yourself, for I guess in the grand scheme of this, we're talking about who you are is the reason why you've attracted what you've attracted, whether you want to agree with it or not. The ultimate reflection is having a kid. And the reason why is because they are always a blank slate. So if you think about it from the standpoint of the show, they're always the wrong person or the unagreeable people. And what's happening as they're growing up is they're becoming more agreeable and more of the right person around you because they live with you for the majority of their life. They're seeing the way that you operate. But there have been plenty times where I've been operating outside of what I want to operate, meaning I'm not being the real Troy. I maybe finessing something in some kind of way. I don't know, right? And then when I see my kids regurgitate something that I finessed, and I see them finesse either each other or finesse somebody else, it's a reminder to me, like, dang, I can see how when they grow up, if they do this, they're going to attract something that they probably don't want. And so what I do versus, go hard on them, I will make the adjustment in myself so that way I can give out more of what's necessary. And then I watch how they make the change. But kids will show you all the time what you're attracting by the way that they respond or the way that they're communicating with you. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. So what's funny is I kind of had a conversation with a single mom the other day, and like she's very protective of her kids, which, naturally so. So much so that, she has a lot of fear around it. She has maybe seen scenarios that didn't work out in the favor or things she had to look out for. And of course, she wants to provide for them financially and things, being worried about that. And so I was able to help her see that, okay, we all have our points of attractions. We all have our things that we attract. And when we're kids, we're not so clouded by the ways of the world and all this other thing. So for all intents and purposes, we get everything we want to manifest. Just really, when you think back as a kid, oh, I want that. Like it, in some form of way, you got your needs met. It was probably through your parents. It was probably through a guardian, a teacher, or a relative, something like that. But you got what you wanted. And so, but I reminded her that as your kids are watching you, learning how to be human, as if you continue to hold this fear vibration, they're going to do the same thing, and they're going to block the blessings that are coming into the household because now they have fear around it. But if you could somehow remove that fear and just be, you could benefit off their points of attraction. You don't even have to attract positively because they will be so free to do so that you'll be the beneficiary of it because you're in the same household, most likely giving it to them. So it's important that these little things that you might not pay attention to, it matters to your environment because your environment is looking to you to see how it should reflect itself.
And then, on top of that, you just have to trust, even when you do change the way that you're talking about, you may not get the instant gratification that you're looking for, but through time, the frequency eventually matches up. And again, just trying to give you an example, like with Brody as an example, when number one, I talk loud anyway. So whenever I'm trying to tell somebody something, it's like, hey, it's always loud. But what I did a test for myself, right? I said, okay, I'm not gonna get loud with them. I'm just gonna whisper, and I just want to see how they're gonna react. So one day I went in there whenever they were doing something that they were supposed to do, and I just went in there like this. So look, man, this is what so I literally did it like that. And the funniest part about it was that the reaction that I got when I'm talking loud and the reaction that I got when I was talking quiet was the exact same. It was either he was agreeable, because I've done it more than once. He was agreeable or disagreeable, because it's whether I agree or not. But the test was, how do you respond back to me? And so what happened is, when he responded back to me, he talked. And so when we talk about attracting people or what you put around you, you have to, again, using my guy that's a liar, I just have to tell him, bro, I know you lying, man. You my boy, but I know you lying, but maybe next time he doesn't lie to me. And it's just one of those things. You just have to trust the process. But go ahead, Jay.
Now, it probably won't be next time, because you called him out on it. He's like, well, I don't want to be around that vibration. I don't want to get that truth out of here. Yeah,
get that truth up out of here, baby.
I was laughing too when you talked about speaking quietly, because I haven't done it in a while, but that was one of my favorite things to do when somebody was yelling, or like, yelling at me or talking real loud, is to just get real quiet and talk like this. And it is the funniest thing, because it's like, okay, who's gonna win? And are you gonna keep talking loud, or are you gonna switch? And then they'll switch and kind of calm down. And I laugh to myself, and it's just funny. But but to your point too, that's a form of manipulation too, which is probably why I haven't done it in a long time. But it is fun to do. And but it just goes to show too that, like, everything can be a mirror image. Like, it can change instantly. It might not always change instantly, but it could be because of the blocks that you hold in your own mind about something manifesting instantly. But once you start to remove those blocks or come closer to more aligned with what it is you want, the sooner it can come into your vision.
So funny enough, bro. And I'm gonna go back to the whispering thing, because I substitute in school, right? And one of the things that I actually do on a consistent basis actually is, when kids come into the classroom, I know that they riled up. They just came out the hallways. They talking on their phones. They pushing each other. They crunk, right? Especially after lunch, but specifically when they come out the hallway, they crunk. So when they come into class, their process is put your book bags up, have a seat, and then wait for instruction. But when they come into class, they still touching on each other, going crazy and doing all of that stuff. And so versus me come in and be like, hey, going crazy, I literally have went to the middle of the classroom and I just stood on the table. Or not stood on the table, but like sat on the table, right? And then I would literally start talking, but not even whispering. I would just be mouthing stuff like. And so what would happen is, bro, some of the kids in the class will start to do the work for me. They'll start to tell everybody, shh, Mr. Washington is talking, shh. And before you know it, everybody sat down. And the purpose of me telling you that, again, we're talking about attracting the wrong people. And I'm talking about attracting what you want. I want students that listen. I want students that will listen to my instruction. I want students that are not super loud. And so I don't give them that all the time. And not only that, when I give out what I want, the rest of the world starts to amplify that for you. That's the reason why all the other kids start to jump in and say, hey, let's give Mr. Washington to that respect. And then what happens over time, because again, there's a lot of ways that you can look at it. Me yelling at a kid that's not mine, I can already tell you a kid is going to shut down. They're not even going to want to deal with you anymore. But I have kids, because of the way that I'm giving off who I am, they understand and they're willing to give off who they are, even if they're not in agreement with me. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I was laughing too, because I've even experienced not necessarily that, but like, a parent or somebody yelling at you in silence, but it causes you to stop in your tracks and try to like listen or whatever, even though they're not saying anything, but they're communicating strongly and you're feeling the vibration of it. And it's funny. And now that I think about it, it would probably be a fun game to play in class, to just see how well you can communicate silently and just, get your point across. Because, I mean, again, we're all capable of it, because we have those best friends or people we do it with. We just give them a look and you understand everything you need to understand about what's going on.
Bro, the funniest thing, I'm gonna go in there, and when the show is over, I'm gonna go in there and yell at everybody in silence and see how they react. Just because I just want to see what's gonna happen. but none.
Don't even move your mouth. Don't even move your mouth. Just.
But nonetheless, though, bro, like, let's. I want to start to get back to looking at ourselves, though, right?
Yeah.
And
go
ahead.
No, go
ahead.
Okay, well, to that, I was gonna kind of shift to this because it is very relevant why the same dynamics keep showing up in different faces.
And so that's the point of getting back to the core. So leave that up. The reason why the same dynamic keeps showing up in different faces is because your face doesn't change. Your face stays the same. If I show up loud every time, everybody's going to elevate to my level, no matter what. If every relationship I get in, I'm arguing back, they can argue back too. If every relationship I get in or every friendship I have, I never return the phone calls, they're never going to return the phone calls either. And, you know, a lot of times we don't realize that. Well, I'm going to talk about myself first, right? Every call I get is like a million. And I don't know if that makes sense to you, but like every call I get is like a million, right? Every text I get is like a million. And so sometimes these things can become overwhelming. And so what you do is you start to move at a different pace, but you have to understand that now everybody else is going to move to the pace that you're moving at. And that's okay if that's what you want. But if you want differently, then you move differently. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and to that, like being overwhelmed by messages and stuff, I've had situations where, you know, you want to reach out to people, you want to talk to people, you send messages, nobody's available. And you're like, what the heck? Why is nobody? I'm available right now. And that can seem counterintuitive to what we're saying. But if you're willing to ask yourself, like, okay, it seems like right now I'm alone, like alone with my thoughts. Is there an opportunity for me? Is there something I need to work out by myself? And usually that is the case. That is the reason why you are attracting that silence from everyone else. And I've done that and I've addressed it. And then it's almost like you send out a beacon where everyone contacts you at the same time. But it's because like you're reflective of that. You're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to give again, or I'm ready to share, or I'm ready to, you know, be of support or service in some way. And so like at all times, it's always reflecting the same thing. And to your point, the only way to change the faces, so to speak, is to change yourself. Like when you change your face, the face that you bring to the world, that's when the faces change, even though they might be in the same body, but they have a different face, a more friendly face, a more loving face, a more giving face. But it's all predicated on the face you show up with.
And the funniest part about that is, bro, there is proof of this, because there are people right now that are completely different with other people than they are with you. Like when I say completely different, they are completely different than when they're with other people. And if you ever just will watch the interactions with people or how they interact with people, you can, and it will make you wonder, or if they did something that was off the wall that you be like, I wonder why they did that. Well, the reason why is because the frequency that they're on with those other people is different than yours. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. So I told you, so y'all, last week we didn't have perfect mode because Troy was in Houston because his son had a game. And so, I met up with him when we were talking. So it was like we had our own private perfect mode show. But I was telling him about how this situation, I was playing basketball that morning, and it was this guy on the other team who was just talking bad to everybody. He was just talking stuff. And so when it was my turn, to play against him, and we're going at it, he didn't say anything like mean or harsh to me. Like even when we started off, he was like, man, take it easy on me. I was like, shoot, I was going to tell you the same thing, which again, I felt like he was trying to manipulate me into thinking whatever. And then he was going to be nice, but it was funny. Like he wouldn't engage, even though I kind of wanted it just because it got me amped up. And so in the middle of the game, he just started going off on his players on his own team, because I guess they weren't getting rebounds. I was snatching rebounds. My other teammates were snatching rebounds. He's like, man, y'all got to crash the board. Y'all got to do this. And I'm just like, it's crazy that to his own team, he's showing this energy, but to somebody who's quote unquote like against him, he's not. And so there was one instance where I was going for a ball, I accidentally hit him in the face. And I was like, man, my bad. And he was just looking mad. And I was like, you want it? Like, do you want the foul? And he didn't even say no. He just said, like, he wouldn't even say anything to me. And I was just shocked. And I was like, man, is it because I'm bringing a certain level of energy that he knows that it won't mix, that he can't even come with. I don't know. And I still can't say that I know definitively, but it was just one of those interesting things to see where he was one way in my presence with these people who are so-called on his side, but someone who isn't, he was like the nicest too. It was crazy.
So this is what's funny about that, bro. No matter how, and I'm talking about how you feel about yourself, and I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about our audience. I'm talking about me, and I'm talking about you. No matter how respectful you think you are, no matter how dignified you think you are, when you step in front of a preacher, a teacher, or somebody you respect, you act even better. You act even by your own accord. You turn your level up of behavior, no matter what. And I'm gonna tell you, bro, at a miscellaneous school, I'm not gonna say what school I was at. I was in a school, and I just was privy enough to be in a teacher conference, right? I'm in a teacher conference, right? And you know, they're supposed to voice their concerns in these meetings, right? They're supposed to say how they feel and what's going on. And so a teacher is like, man, I'm trying everything with this kid. They don't listen. Their parents don't let them listen. When I talk to their parents, the parent is crazy, and I don't like dealing with no crazy parent. And the principal jumped in immediately and was like, hey, we don't talk like that around parents. And she said, well, I'm only telling y'all. And he said, well, he's a parent back there. And so he pointed to me, right? And so it just, now again, you could just imagine this teacher being anything other than the helpful person that she was trying to be with the kid, and was expressing herself the way that she expressed herself to us with the parent. Well, she would be bringing animosity to the parent, which in turn, the animosity will be amplified back to her. And it wouldn't be something that she would have wanted. But not only that, being in the environment with me, which is a teacher, there's a potential that I could have been back there in judgment of her and saying, well, shoot, if you feel like this about teachers, then this is how we feel about you. And so I love the fact that the principal cited that I was there, though I didn't really care at the end of the day, because I understood where she was coming from. But it just goes to show that no matter who we are, there's always an uplifting whenever there's a somebody that we feel like there should be a higher level of respect there. And that shows you that we can attract what we want if we decide to. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up, because that is true. Like you said, somebody might be watching this and like, well, how can I change? How can I change instantly? This is just how I am because how they act and all of this other stuff. But then, like you said, you will see, somebody be mad, and then the right person comes along, and then their whole demeanor changes. So it's like, oh, you can be happy if you so choose. You're just choosing to be mad in this moment or angry in this moment. But then now that you know this, you have to ask yourself, why am I choosing to be angry? Do I enjoy anger? Do I enjoy feeling like this? And if the answer is no, then you have no reason to ever get angry again. Like, and if you truly mean it, like, let's say put it like this. Let's say you have a habit of reacting to things or overreacting to things in a negative way when things happen to you. Like, why does this always happen to me? And then you have the realization, like, you know what? I'm going to change. I'm not going to get angry no more. Well, because you decided that, just to make sure the world and everything around you wants to make sure, okay, you really don't want to get angry. We have this that we were bringing for you to get angry at. But let me just show you anyway. So here's something to get angry at. And if you get angry again, you're like, see, here go more stuff. You back in that vibration. And the idea is when you're faced with something that you no longer want, don't give extra attention to it. Just, thank it for showing up and let it go. That's it.
So I'm glad you said that as well, because what I would tell you is when you change your face and you start walking in the light that you want to walk in, that doesn't necessarily mean that the other things still won't show up. But what will happen is you will be or see more of what you want than what you don't want. And again, I know what type of parent I am. I know what type of teacher I am. I know what type of realtor I am. Just kind of give you an example. I had a student come to me. So mind you, I want to be helpful. So I show kids all the time, if you got a problem, I got your back. If you got a problem, I got your back. There's a kid that I never talked to ever, calling his name on the road. So we don't even have a relationship. mean. You know what I'm saying? Where you would think that he feels comfortable to come and tell me when I'm about to tell you he told me. But again, I'm making the point that I've helped other kids. So because I'm putting this out, what I'm going to keep attracting is kids that would help. So the kid comes to me and he says, "Hey, Mr. Washington," randomly. You know that his name is Jumbo Jumbo. And I was like, "Yeah, I know Jumbo Jumbo." And he said, he calls me the devil incarnate. Now, just to kind of give you an example, Jumbo Jumbo is really tall and Mini Mini is really short. Mm-hmm. Jumbo Jumbo is not a bad person, but he can really reflect off a demonstrative demeanor, right? Not purposely, it's just who he is, right? Yeah. And so I asked Mini and I said, "Hey," I said, "how do you feel about that? Because you told me, so obviously you're telling me for a reason how you feel about it." And he's like, "I don't know." And I said, "Does it hurt your feelings?" And he said, "It does." I said, "Are you afraid of him?" And he said, "I don't know." I said, "Okay, well, cool." I said, "Do you want me to say something to him?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Okay, cool." So I left it alone and I knew that it was something. And I said, "Hey, if you want me to say something to Jumbo Jumbo, I'll say something to him and I'll make sure that it doesn't come back to you and all this kind of stuff." He said, "Okay, that'll be good." So what Jumbo Jumbo was calling him was the devil incarnate, right? I said that, right? So later throughout the day, I found Jumbo Jumbo and I said, "Hey, Jumbo Jumbo, I got to talk to you. Come in my room." I said, "Do you know Mini?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You call him devil incarnate?" And he said, and he looked at me and he looked like, "Dang." I said, "I'm not tripping, man. I don't think that you're a bad kid at all. I think that you're special, actually. But I need you to do something special for me." I said, "Do you mean what you're saying about him?" And he said, "No." I said, "Well, I need you to let him know that." I said, "I want you to find him today. I want you to apologize. And I don't want you to do it in a demeaning way. I want you to really mean it and tell, like, you're big. You don't want people to think this about you." And he said, "Okay, Mr. Washington, I'll do it." So later during the day, he found Mini. He apologized to him and did it in a way where Mini felt comfortable. And Mini came up to me and said, "Man, Mr. Washington, I appreciate you." Jumbo Jumbo came up to me and apologized. And I gave him props later in that day. But again, number one, I'm going to talk about attracting the wrong people again. Jumbo Jumbo has a crowd of people that he's around. Not purposely, but just because of who he is. But the way that his face is showing, I say it like that, right? But he's not a bad kid, but his face is showing, let's get this thing cracking. Yeah. I think that Jumbo Jumbo and Mini have a different relationship now just because Jumbo Jumbo showed him a different face. But go ahead.
Yeah. So two things with that. The first with that is, one, I think it's great how you handled that and what you did. And the fact that he said that he didn't really mean it, like when he called him that, right? Mm-hmm. It goes to show me, like, sometimes we joke around. We joke around, but you can't control how the person receives it. Like, they could just be having an off day or whatever, and hearing that joke, they're not taking it as a joke today. They're really internalizing it. And though your intent wasn't to hurt them, they're taking it in. Now, you can't say that that's your fault. Like, "Hey, I just said this jokingly. It's not my fault you took it that way." But you could do it, and you could communicate in such a way that your intentions are felt more. Like, you don't have to joke in that way. Like, maybe you can shift how you joke, because nobody wants to hurt anybody, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And there could be, some opportunities there. So that's that. And then secondly, just to your point, attracting certain things, you don't even have to communicate with the person for the relationship to shift, for those things to shift. Because again, people are only showing up with the face, with the version of themselves that you are showing yourself. And so, like, again, I've had many instances where people would tell me certain things or bring certain things to me, but I'm like, they didn't even know me like this. They didn't even know me at this point to even know that I could handle this and maybe give them some information back on this. Like for instance, like, I used to run away from dark conversations or sad conversations because I didn't know how to handle that. I didn't know how to give good advice. I felt like I was going to say something stupid, but this was back in the day. And now that I know how to handle those types of situations, it's like people would bring them to me and be grateful that they did. But these are people that knew me back then too. You know what I mean? Like, and so at any moment you can get to anywhere. You can change your dynamic. You can change all the relationships that you've ever had in the world from right now, from this point, but you have to be willing to change yourself or step into the face that you want to show the world.
Funny enough, bro. One day I would first let me go back to Jumbo and Mini, bro, real quick. To me, the beauty of story is how this is how we are as adults too, right? Like we literally are the same thing, same way. And so the question that I would ask anybody is, what are you, like, the thing that you're doing, what are you doing to yourself? Like, what is it that you're doing to yourself, no matter what it is, jokingly or not joking? What is it that you're doing to yourself? Is there any inkling in it? And this is me assuming that I feel like we know at heart in most cases, right? How would I feel if this thing was done to me? How would I feel if I was to see this thing? How would I feel if I was to feel this thing? Like, if I was to slap somebody on their arm, how would I feel if they slapped me on my arm? And I think that a lot of times, because we're so in judgment of the people around us, we don't take the time to see the slap that we're making. Like, why is this person slapping me back? Like, why are they slapping me back? Brody told me when he came home today that he was playing with his friends, and one of his friends had him choked up and he couldn't move. He couldn't breathe. And I said, well, what was y'all doing? Like, what were y'all doing? Oh, y'all was play fighting. Well, of course. You gave up the energy that you wanted to do something, so they did it back. Now, they don't know the level that you can do it at, right? And again, that's how we're operating. And so I just caution people, like, it's easy to look at someone and say that that's not the right type of energy. But how did you insert it? Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, right. And to what you were saying, like an example of that we're always in judgment is like, okay, so we're always in judgment from our point of view. Like, we've all had days where it's like, not today. I'm not, don't play with me today. Not today. I'm whatever, right? But then when at the time when you're in a playful mood, let me go back. When you're like, not today, you like, man, they always playing around, man. I can't believe, like, not today, man, chill. But then when you're in a playful mood, you're like, oh man, I can't believe you sad, man. You need to be playing right now. So I'm gonna pick at you, I'm gonna mess with you, I'm gonna do all these things. But you're perpetuating that same thing that you don't like, which is causing you to experience it from time to time, not realizing what you're giving off and how you're disregarding the other person's feelings, but you want them to not disregard yours. And that's just another one of those instances where we are attracting things that we don't want because we are split on what it is we want through our actions and judgments.
So now this is the test to show that you can create what you want. This is the test to show that you can attract who you want. I want you to think about all the people in your life that you cannot get enough of. I want you to think about all the people in your life that you cannot get enough of. And I want you to think about what you do, how you act, and when you're with them. Like, what face are you putting on? And these, again, are the people that you can't get enough of. Whatever you're showing them, they're giving it back 10 times over. You're feeling it 10 times over. And whatever that is, those other people that you're attracting, that you're saying are the wrong people, you're not giving them the same thing. You're not making them feel the same way, regardless of what they've shown you. Because like I told you, I like to think that it's instantaneous, but I understand that people might not think that it's not instantaneous. But there have been plenty of times when I was in an argument with somebody, or I was or close to something very aggressive, and I killed it by just saying, "Nah, you know what? You right, my bad. You right, my bad." And so I challenge you to look at what that is. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and also, I know sometimes people fear the loss of certain relationships in their lives, and that fear actually pushes people away. Like, you might not realize it, but it actually pushes people away because it's like you're bringing an element to this relationship that's icky. Nobody wants to feel icky around the people they enjoy, the people they love. And so when you have that fear, you're actually pushing people away. But when you allow the freedom of people just to be who they are how they want to be. Like you want to be around those people because you're like, man, it's cool being around them. There's no icky feeling. It's just joy. I can be myself. And I say this to say that like I've had certain types of friendships or things where the person left, like the person moved away, something just out of my life, but it was almost like a TV show where the next person entered as soon as they left that represented that same energy in my life. And I was like, man, this happens over and over again. So much so that like, this doesn't mean I don't care for the person. This doesn't mean that when I see them again, it's not going to be like, hey, we're best friends again and all this other stuff. It's just that it changes. It's just that as long as you hold a certain energy, you will always have that energy there of whatever it is you're putting out. And it's nothing that anyone can do about it because it's your vibrational access point, so to speak.
And two, just to kind of add to that, bro, the reality of it is there is no true rules for relationships. There are rules that you've set for people that you've determined that can be close to you. But the reality of it is that a relationship never ends. It's just not a present relationship in your life. Yeah. And so the reason why I can say that there's no true rules in relationships, because your own rules that you have for the closest people for you, they don't have for you. You never put it down on paper and said, this is what it takes for us to be friends. But not only that, in my own life, bro, I have people that I would consider to be friends that I haven't talked to in years, like in years. And when I get around them, I know what it's going to be. And there's no real requirement. And I won't treat them any different than I treat Bear, which is one of my closest friends. Again, we have a way to define somebody that's a close friend to us. You're my closest friend. Bear, my closest friend. Well, what is that? Because I talk to y'all all the time. But that doesn't mean that I'm any less close to JT when we're present together. When I'm with JT, it's let's get crunk just like I would be when I'm with you. Like, let's get crunk. So, you know, the reality of it, even with these people that we feel like are the wrong people, the relationship is still a relationship, but it cannot shift until you start to show them who you truly are. And if you continue to be a silhouette of yourself, then you will never even get to see who they truly are at the same time. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. Shout out to them people. I got people I met like one time and we were like best friends. And it was just like, I meet them again. We would probably be best friends again.
Let's go.
Yeah, like it's a beautiful thing. Dang, I forgot I was gonna say too about relationships and man, I can't remember, but the key is be you. Like no, okay, I remember now. You talked about rules and relationships that people have. Like we don't write them down, we just have these rules in our head. That is the source of many ill feelings. And, and the reason I say that is because you have to also hold yourself to these rules. And when you don't, when you fall short, you start to feel bad. You start to hold resentment and guilt, even for yourself, which you then pass on to that person. You're like, I'm mad at me, but I'm not going to say mad at me. That's dumb. I'm mad at you. If you hadn't did this, I wouldn't have did that. And because it's your fault and all this other stuff. But it's because you're trying to hold these rules in place when that takes a lot of energy in itself. And it's like, man, don't do all that. Let it go. Just trust that what you want will be given and trust that what you need is already here. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to uphold anything. Like truth doesn't need anyone to fight for it to be truth. Truth is just true. And when you accept that about who you are and who you want to be, it changes everything.
So I'm going to tell you what came to my mind right now is Miami, right? Mm-hmm. And us going down there. And this is when us talking about relationships not having rules. Now, you can have your own rules in your head, but that doesn't mean the people that you're with have those same rules. And I know you tell a story all the time about when we would go to Miami and how I lost it on the people at the front desk, right? And before that moment, I'm pretty sure in your head, there was a rule that said, and again, there's truly no way that I could know these rules or that you would probably even tell people these rules because they're not even real. But the rule is, around me can't go get crunk with nobody else, right? Hypothetically, right? I don't know that that's a rule, but I'm just saying that could potentially be the rule. So what happens is when I'm at this front desk going hard on these people about whatever, you're sitting back and you're giving yourself an opportunity to make a decision. This is not something that I this is a rule that this guy has broken, or did he really break that rule? Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of it. Like, because you allowed me to be me as an example in that moment, it showed, okay, from my standpoint, well, dang, he's cool. He handles this a little different. Maybe you can handle it a little different next time, Troy. You know, and again, it's just a way of showing something without saying a thing, but also not binding me to your rules that I never knew anything about.
Yeah, and let me respond to that real quick. Before I read what Oralia said. So in that chance in Miami, I do remember thinking, I was like, man, he is going fed on this front desk people. And it was an unspoken rule in my mind, like it ain't that serious. But I was like, wait a minute, I just spent like the weekend with him. We were selling CDs together, and I know his mindset. Like, he's not like this. This is not him as a person. Maybe he has a reason for this. Maybe I don't know all I need to know about this situation. Maybe I need to react to situations like this. I don't know. So I'm gonna withhold my judgment. I'm just not gonna even judge it. I'm just gonna accept that me and him, we cool. We just still gonna be cool, whatever. And I was glad I did, because a lot came from that. Even us getting a free hotel room the next year we came when everything was booked. But anyway, yeah. So it is good when you don't judge at all and you just accept, like, you know, this person has been put here for a reason. Let me figure out what that reason is. And then to what Oralia put, how can you react to this? One of my work, who I thought it was my friend one day, she told me that I was doing things because I was trying to fit in. Since that FM day, I distanced myself. And now that said, I have changed. So I'm confused. So, okay. So if I understand correctly, she called you out on something, saying, you know, you were trying to fit in, and you might not have felt that. But even deeper than that, you may have felt some way, but might not have acknowledged it because you made a change from it. So like an example that I would give, if somebody said the sky was green or something, or if somebody said your skin was green, you like, this person's crazy, disregard it. You won't necessarily make a change. You just wouldn't react to it in a certain way. But if somebody says something that you think might be in you, or something that you hid from yourself, you will feel a type of way about it. And that's what causes the action. And sometimes if you can be real with yourself, like, wait, did I do this for that reason? Maybe I did. Let me see. Okay. Oh, I didn't. So it's cool. There's no reason to necessarily distance yourself. But if you did on some level, you're like, man, they exposed me in a certain way. I can't be around them. And I say that to say that if you can, you know, just look at it objectively and see if there's truth to it. And if it's not, don't worry about it. If it is, see if there's something, you know, you can change in that situation about yourself, or how you view yourself.
And I would go as far to say, like, of the two choices that you have, meaning distance yourself or stay connected, which one makes you happy? That's number one. That's the most important thing, right? And the reason why I say it that way is because, Aurelia, let me tell you something that people tell me all the time to this day. Troy, you talk too loud. And the reason why you talk loud is because you don't care what anybody else has to say. Now, here's the thing. I asked myself, when this was told to me the first time, do you care about what people have to say? And the answer was always, I do care about what people have to say. So does me talking loud really mean what this person is saying to me? It doesn't. So what I continue to do, and again, I don't change the way that I am. I still talk loud. I still talk in the manner that I talk, because to me, I realize it just shows how passionate I am. So don't let anybody define what you're doing. Do what you love, and it will pay its dividends to who it's supposed to pay its dividends to. Not only that, the person that's doing the judging, they might want to do the same thing that you're doing, and they don't feel like they can. And by you consistently staying in who you are, you release them to be that as well. So who you are. But I know we at that time, Jay.
I want to tell a quick story if we got like 1 minute.
We can go over. Go ahead.
All right. So I remember a long time ago, I went to this producers panel where like you can hear from top producers in the industry. This is back before I was rapping and I was producing. And I was like, man, my beat's fire. They ain't gonna be able to tell me nothing. Had my beat tape, played it. And then I remember this one guy who was like this platinum producer, multi-platinum. He was like, I like your he's like, man, your instruments and stuff are nice, but your drums are trash. And he didn't use the word trash, but that's how I took it. I was like, man, what does he know, man? He don't know nothing, man. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. This guy don't know nothing. But then I was like, could my drums be trash? I am using the stock drums off this keyboard. I never really looked to make new drums. And then so I went on a journey to do that. And that's when I made a song Taking Over. That's when I made that beat, which was one of me and Troy's first songs together that kind of blew up. And if it wasn't for me taking that feedback, or at least considering the feedback, I didn't have to take it, but just considering if there was truth to it, kind of like you did, considered if it was truth to it. In your case, it wasn't any truth to it. In my case, it was some truth to it. In both instances, the best outcome happened. So it's like, don't necessarily get mad at the person giving the information. In a way, thank them because they allow you to see yourself in another way.
But I want to say this about that too. And I think this is important because I said earlier, which one makes you happy? You have both scenarios. And I want to say what Jay Clay said was he didn't have to take the feedback, but what he did was he added new drums and listened, and he could feel which one made him the happiest. These drums actually do go hard. And when you do that, when you're operating in a space that you feel happy about and you can find the love in, then it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you get the right answer anyway. So, I just challenge you to, if it's not making you happy to be away or separate, then engage again and do it for you and not worry about anybody else, because nobody else matters. You matter, right? And I promise you, you being the good person, the connected person, people will want to connect with you and be good with you too, because that's the face that you're showing. But we at the end, I know we kind of went over, but shouts out to Aurelia for challenging us and bringing us to the carpet and being brave enough to share with us. And just tell everybody, if you like the show, please share, like and subscribe. We got the YouTube, we got everything, and share it with somebody. And Jay Clay,
yeah, appreciate y'all rocking with us on another Sunday. Happy Mother's Day again to all the mothers. Again, what Troy said, I appreciate y'all. Share this, like, subscribe, all that. And just remember, you're a perfect creation made by a perfect creator. So you might as well accept your perfection and enter perfect mode. Yeah.
If I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm Jay Clay, rapper, the spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect.
Perfect!